So I have an extreme phobia and fear of gaining weight.
Kimmy Smith is honest and open about an eating disorder she's battled for the past 14 years.
In my mind, it was, I have to be skinny. I have to stay this way.
Kimmy was just 10 years old when her fight with food began. Like many of us, her parents were careful about what they ate, and her mom often spoke about dieting. There were low-calorie snacks in the cupboard, exercise was a topic of discussion, and a scale in the bathroom was used daily.
I had this thing in my head of, that's what health is. Health is being skinny. Within 6 months to a year of 10, almost to 11, I had to go to a series of doctor's appointments and blood tests because my weight was dropping so much. I even got down to the point where I was 50 pounds at age 10.
The average 10-year-old weighs between 70 to 80 pounds, and Kimmy was told if she didn't gain weight, she'd have to give up her favorite hobby.
And the doctor said I cannot horseback ride if I'm 50 pounds. I have to be in a car seat, and my heart was going to start failing if I didn't start eating again.
No one would have known that I was struggling with this.
Emma Anderson relates to Kimmy's story. The Hillcrest High School grad says weight loss and healthy eating were always talked about in her home growing up.
Emma's exercising.
She was never overweight, but felt pressure to stay skinny.
So when I was in 3rd grade, I remember running around the kitchen a bunch of times and going into my parents' bathroom and jumping on the scale to see if I had lost weight. And I did that, I remember, for like 20 minutes just to see like how many times I could run really quickly around the kitchen and then jumping on the scale and just seeing that number went down lower.
Both women say entering their teenage years only made their eating disorders worse. They ate very little, were depressed and insecure, and say their idea of a healthy body was someone very thin.
During that time for a year, my menstrual cycle stopped. I wasn't eating a lot, I was restricting.
If I went to a social, I would eat before going because I'm not allowed to eat that kind of food. That food's bad.
Kimmy and Emma graduated high school. Both ended up at BYU, Idaho, and their eating disorders came with them. At one point, Kimmy was only eating peanut butter. Both were battling severe anxiety. That's when they heard about Liz Stevenson.
To pay attention to their body gives them a sense of control.
Stevenson is the only certified eating disorder counseling specialist in eastern Idaho, and she's booked out months at a time. She says Kimmy and Emma's stories are not unusual, but what's alarming to her is how girls and boys are beginning to battle eating disorders at a younger age.
It used to be that most eating disorders, they would say probably around the age of 15 and older, seeing kids as young as 8. That are starting to struggle with eating disorders. It's going younger and younger.
National surveys estimate 20 million women and 10 million men in America will have an eating disorder at some point in their lives. Most of us are aware of anorexia, where you eat very little or starve yourself, and bulimia, where you eat a lot of food and then purge.
There's another subcategory called other specified feeding eating disorder, or we call it OSFED, right? 80% of people with eating disorders fall in that category. They do not have enough criteria to be called anorexia or to be called bulimia, but they have enough of the same problems or a mix that they're in the other category.
Stevenson says eating disorders start in the brain, often at a traumatic time in someone's life, like parents getting divorced, a child being bullied, or someone feeling they aren't loved or wanted. Food becomes something you can control, even at the risk of severe malnourishment.
People can die from bulimia, but it's not on the death certificate. It shows heart failure, but there are parents out there who will tell you, my daughter died from making herself throw up or from using laxatives and diuretics.
Once Emma and Kimmy began meeting with Stevenson, they learned there is no shame in having a disorder or getting help, but it's a long road to recovery.
You have to completely rewire your brain and completely get rid of all of the propaganda that the world has told you. Because an eating disorder is like a best friend, but it's an abusive relationship as well. It's something that's comfortable and you want to go back to because it's something familiar. But then at the end of the day, it beats you up.
Stevenson suggests parents do a few things while raising kids in a society obsessed with being skinny. First, see people first and bodies second. Don't focus on good or bad food. If you eat a variety of healthy foods, having a treat is okay. Have open conversations about how your kids feel about their bodies, and realize health is not weight. Health is behaviors.
Healthy is going out and moving your body because you enjoy moving your body, not because you're punishing yourself because you ate 1,000 calories today.
Now, Emma says she's the healthiest she's been since she was a child and encourages anyone struggling with an eating disorder to get help.
It has been, I'd say, a lifesaver for me and life-changing. I have grown so much. I'm so much more confident in myself because of counseling.
As for Kimmy, she compares her disorder to a roller coaster. Some days are up, some days are down, but at least she knows now how to handle it.
It's very important to talk to somebody. You need to be very honest because you do not want to have this for 14 years.
I'm Nate Eaton, EastIdahoNews.com.